That clock keeps ticking like a metronome, and my thoughts keep telling me to get me home, but my balls keep telling me to let me just let me That clock keeps ticking like a metronome, and my thoughts keep telling me to get me home, but my balls keep telling me to let me just let me That clock keeps ticking like a metronome, and my thoughts keep telling me to get me home, but my balls keep telling me to let me Fuck all that shit, just let me go.
Yeah, broadcast live from our here. This is badass. We are now like a fucking pacemaker. Got Bolt and Doc here today. Oh, fuck, did he? I you know, whenever I record those fucking videos, I always get the echo. Fuck.
Everybody's saying
I don't even.
I forgot about that.
I wish there was a system I could put in place where I didn't do that. It would be wonderful. It'd be wonderful. Well, anyway, welcome back. The election is begun. I don't know. We have Joe Biden on the line.
Oh yeah.
You have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, and you ain't black.
Oh, that's right.
Come up, reach it in the pool, and rub my leg down.
You ain't black. Can you imagine having the balls to say that? Well, in fairness to Joe Biden, in fairness to Joe Biden, he's not the only person that's saying stuff like that. What did I see over here? James Brown looking Maxine Waters, shaming people. Yeah. Let's watch this fat pig. Well, actually, he's probably as fat as me now. I probably can't call people fat pigs anymore, huh? Maxine Waters denounces black men voting for Trump. I will never forgive them. Shameful. Shame me, Maxine. What part of the... Oh, no, it's too long. It's 8 minutes, but that's what she says. So it's shameful. You know. Because, Trump's still clearly racist. Let's see. The thing is... I was just going to look at some of these clips today and take your call. So you want to fill them up and talk about the election, that's fine with me. I really don't have anything planned. I think that over the next couple days, I'm glad I have tomorrow off, I'll tell you that. I think in the next couple days, it's just going to be an absolute fucking circus. I think now's the time for Pyro to fucking ignore this shit and make videos. By the way, on that front, and I'll say this and move on. Someone sent me a picture of the, somebody scrolled through their tweets together, allegedly Pyro's tweets and Ivory's tweets, or the ones that say deleted, or I'm sorry, DMs, Discord DMs, and they scrolled down. So a lot of people are, screenshotting and what have you. I have not verified this because I didn't look at very closely. I look at, but it's more than likely on the money. I gotta look at one point, Ivory makes it abundantly clear that he's a minor. So those things you say, like one of the shot, I guess I could pull it up. Maybe we could give it a second. I'm not saying this for sure because I didn't see it. I think I am going to try to pull this up. Bow. Thank you to Soul. So now, assuming these are going to Ivory, you can see the red circle here. Now, what's happening, the effect, what you're seeing is the fact of somebody that's scrolling down, and you take screenshots later because there's a lot of things. This is not the best way to do it. But here's what he writes. Not only am I a minor, but it's like private shit either way for the blank covered out to talk about it like that. And him beating around the bush, and that's cut off too while I'm trying to fucking talk about him. So that was apparently to, the guy they ask is Linad. He's probably not up because he's in Australia. Because I know he's combing through these DMs. But yeah, whoever he's talking to here, and I don't know if this is the same group of DMs that were scrolled through. I don't know for a fact, okay? This is really a bad way to do it, but it's one of the easiest ways to do it. Yeah, he clearly says he's a minor here. So, whatever. Who knows? Maybe Pyro missed it. Maybe missed it.
Sure, you just scrolled right
He's
past
missed it.
Too many DMs, bro.
Too many DMs. I like it. Oh, the guy that I kind of made fun of yesterday. By the way, I just want to think, when I hang up or blow you up or make fun of you or whatever, it doesn't mean I hate you. I had some guy, I'm not going to say who it is, but it's somebody who It's not extreme, Dad. So I'll make that clear. I had somebody that called and felt they said something foolish, and they were very, very, almost overly apologetic. And it's a show. You know, you got to have some balls calling in here. You might get fucked with. That's kind of the rule. If you survive a shot from the point call, you're that much more of a man. Look at it that way. So those apologies aren't necessary. The odds of me kicking you off when you have a wacky call are very slim because I want more. I want more wacky calls. So let's go to Joe Biden here. Let's see what he's going to say.
I love kids jumping on my lap.
Tomorrow we have an opportunity to put an end to a presidency that's divided this nation. Tomorrow we can put an end to a president that has failed to protect this nation. And tomorrow we can put an end to a president that has fanned the flames of hate all across this country. When American votes, America will be heard. And when America's heard, I believe the message is going to be loud and clear. It's time for Donald Trump to pack his bags and go home.
Woo!
Imagine where
Nobody's
we'd
there.
be if this president from the beginning just wore a mask instead of mocked wearing a mask. Think of this now. The president of the United States of America, who's responsible for so many deaths.
You really, the mask, I obey the whole mask thing, but you know what? The biggest assholes I know are these. They're like, I'm so proud to be wearing a mask. So that's really who the Biden voter is, the guy who's proud to wear a mask.
He had the goal to suggest that American doctors, the people who have been on the front lines of this crisis for 9 months, along with nurses and so many others, many of whom have died, to suggest that doctors are falsely inflating deaths due to COVID because they want to make more money.
That's not what he said. What he said was, when you say you have a COVID problem, you get more federal money. Not that it goes in the doctor's pocket. But, yeah, anytime you have some kind of, I don't know, a government, doesn't even, forget COVID, any kind of like a government encouragement to do something, yeah, it's just a matter of fact. I mean, it's the way things go. The idea that doctors and nurses and, of course, man, they're fucking people too. And they're crooked, like everybody else. And since when are doctors and nurses above reproach? Some of the worst people I ever met in my life were doctors.
Yeah.
I'm serious, man. This guy's a disgrace.
What about you dealing with the Chinese? That's pretty disgraceful too.
Trump said
What about
he's
your
going
son?
to fire Dr. Fauci.
Well, he's going to...
Isn't that wonderful? I got a better idea. Elect me and I'm going to hire Dr. Fauci.
That's pretty good. I'll give him that
Donald
one.
Trump.
For political points, I'll give him that one. It's pretty good. All right, here's Donald Trump. We got to be fair, equal time, right? Oh, yeah.
We have so much. We have the whole thing. And Obama was involved. And Biden was involved.
Abby the Bear, Tommy, you make my shit day so much better. Well, thank you so much, sweetheart. I hope you're a sweetheart, Abby. You sound like a girl. Don't know nowadays.
They were involved, but let's see what happens. People should move more quickly. In 2016, North Carolina voted to fire this corrupt political establishment, and you elected an outsider as president who is finally putting America first. And if I don't sound like a typical Washington politician, it's because I'm not a politician. If I don't always play by the rules.
Happy Civil War, I mean voter day. Yeah, no kidding, right?
Of the Washington establishment is because I was elected to fight for you, and I fight harder than any president has ever fought for his people.
Thank you so much, DHG. Make America great.
Get out and vote. That's all I ask. Just take a little time and vote. Oh, we got to win this state. I think we win this state. We win Pennsylvania. We're going to win Florida. We win Pennsylvania. And we're going to win the whole thing. send them a signal like they've never seen before. This has not happened to them. Big tech is so powerful. You can't beat big tech, this thing does. And I see it on Twitter. Trending.
Oh, and pause it, Tommy. Vault,
Sure.
do you have that clip of him bringing that special guest?
Oh, yeah, we'll take the, yeah.
Little Pimp.
Yeah, I think I saw this. Yeah, I see
Yeah,
you find that.
take your Discord makes sense, yeah.
But it's funny, he didn't say this on the. I know it's too bad. He goes, "If one thing I've done is exposed dishonesty in the media." Yeah, have you said that? Donald Trump didn't do a good job, and I'm not going to vote for him. But boy, that is the one thing that has just been the constant theme with his administration. Is just like the media is just straight up crooked. I mean, that's what I say when I hear something like, "How dare he say his doctors?" What the fuck? There's all corruption everywhere. When are doctors above? It's like saying politicians are above corruption.
Who's not to say that he gets a doctor that fucking hates him?
Yeah. Like, how dare you say? I don't even like when they do that with soldiers, to be perfectly. Soldiers are probably a good example for that for the right. Soldiers are.
They take that razor blade and they
above
slice
criticism.
that oxygen hose.
What are you talking about?
I'm saying, those bad doctors where they take those razor blades and they slice those hoses so you can't breathe. And like, oh, I don't know.
I've never heard of that, but maybe they do. Maybe they don't. I don't know. I've never heard of that.
I saw it in a movie once.
Did you? It's a fucking movie, for Christ's sake. Well, I'm sure is.
They did it to Christopher Reeves in that one movie.
It's been Dr. Serial Killers before, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean.
Apparently, fucking Jack the Ripper is a doctor or something.
No, that's
like
horseshit. That's actually horseshit. That's one of the theories they had back then, and just kind of lasted the years. There's no evidence of that. What happened was, I know because I read all about it. There was a guy on scene who wasn't a doctor who said, I think it was a reporter. Did he found out he used a scalpel, and he said, could he have some kind of medical experience, which got turned into his expert. Here's what Jack the Ripper did. He took a scalpel and fucking kept hitting you in the abdomen. That's all he did. There's no truth to that whatsoever. I'm a serial killer junkie, so yeah. That's one thing that was believed for a long time, though. It's a common. It's like sort of an urban legend or misnomer. That's not.
I don't know, Tommy.
We choose truth over facts.
I do too, Joe. Well, maybe if Trump loses, I still will be entertained. That's one of the things I don't want to be. I'm just thoroughly entertained by this guy.
All men and women created by go. You know the thing.
Yeah.
Well, it's a different kind of entertainment, but it's entertaining nonetheless. Here we go.
There he is.
Here he is.
How's it going? Do you want to come up and say something? Do you want to? Come on. Little punk. Come on. Come on up here. Come on up here. Does everyone know who he is? Do you know how big he is? Come on up.
I do think this is dangerous for his career. I mean, I got to be honest with you.
Oh, yeah. Because he's getting called out by rappers saying that they're never going to work with him again.
Yeah. Well, and and be honest, that says more about the rappers than it does about him. It's not like he fucking snitched and put fucking people in jail for like 300 years. But yeah, that's pretty unbelievable.
Yeah. That's a nice hat. Come on, say something.
This is not real.
It's just
no.
so weird.
He gave him the mic. No,
I've never heard him talk the way he talks right here. He's never.
Oh, wait a minute. He doesn't sound like a wigger all day. What a shock.
Yeah.
But this is unreal. But with him, you don't know. I figure you start saying bitch and the N-word, and who the hell knows?
That's what I thought.
Yeah. Well, here he goes.
Hello, everybody. How you guys feeling? I come here to say, Mr. President, I appreciate everything you've done for our country. You brought the troops home, and you're doing the right thing. MAGA 2020. Don't forget that. Don't forget that.
This is a guy that wrote "fuck Trump" on Twitter.
This guy wrote Gucci Gang.
Gucci Gang.
He wrote "fuck Trump" on Twitter. He was serious.
I like that.
He hated Trump.
Yeah. Until he found out
the only reason he likes about the tax.
Let me tell you something. Anything over fucking
you, Joe Biden.
The tax rates they're proposing is. I mean, somebody takes more than 50% of what you earned. That's a racket. That's thievery.
It's robbery.
It's robbery. It's right. There's no other way around it. It's robbery. It's not their money. It's ours.
Theft.
You know, it's theft. It's theft. You know?
And do not vote for Sleepy Joe at all.
That's it. He toned it down.
You do.
Little pump, everybody. God, thank God. I would have been thinking, thank God he didn't say the N-word.
What if Trump came back to the mic and he goes,
Bing, bing, bong, bong, bing, bing, bing.
Yeah, right. You know who this guy is? There is no Republican that would ever let that happen other than Trump. Nobody.
no.
Not one. I don't think Ted Cruz would have done that even. Not one. You know what I think it shows, though? Like, and I guess when I was a teenager, I would have thought this is a good thing. You could escape politics when I was a kid. You could. There was always those guys that didn't know shit, you know? And well, fuck going on. And you still run into them and say, but it does seem more steeped into our mainstream culture, which in theory would have been better because the idea is more people are involved. That means you get a better choice. No. But it just like, so I don't remember that kind of support from
I'm
the
like a
hip-hop
queer
community when Clinton was elected, or I think the second time around, Clinton's second reaction, there was more support from the hip hop community in the night, like when in '96. But it's just like you can't really escape this shit, and that's that. I got to be honest, I changed my mind. I think it's not. I think it's a bad thing. Yeah,
I just remember my grandpa listening to Rush Limbaugh and him hating the Clintons so much that he was
me
like,
too. I grew up with that too, but you know what?
And Don Imus in the morning.
But that's like that was my boomer parents, though. It wasn't outside of like my house.
Yeah,
you know, not everybody's parents did that. Not everybody's parents
my
listened to Rush or
grandfather, I should say. My dad, he was there. He was working, so I was with my grandparents.
You know, listen to Rush and Imus. You know, but
Every morning.
it's just so bizarre. You know, it's so steeped in. I mean, and maybe that's because like the whole Trump 2016 thing kind of has its roots on the internet, or the popular or the cultural support really came from internet culture. And I think what internet culture, I don't think like Gamergate got him elected or fucking, 4chan or any of that horse shit. But I will say one thing that started back in 2015, Gamergate, 4chan, internet culture in general, definitely made it a hell of a lot cooler to vote for a Republican. So yeah, in that sense, yeah, you know, it's before Milo was fucking, outed, or if you want to even call that being outed. It was before a lot of it, and everybody knew he was a cokehead. I think that's what really hurt Milo more than anything.
Surprise.
Cocaine is a hell of a drug.
Cocaine. Yeah. But
play the second video.
What's that? What do you get?
Play the second video. Scroll down on the same website. On Twitter. Scroll down. Play the little pink one.
50,
no, back on Twitter, on Chrome right now, under Chrome. Scroll down.
Oh, this one right here, Little Pimp.
Of sound, music, and other things, one of the big superstars of the world, Little Pimp. Of sound, music.
Yeah.
Little Pimp.
It's fucking surreal.
Little Pimp.
Fucking 19-year-old, fucking drug infused. I know what Little Pimp's thinking. He wants to keep his fucking money. What did somebody write? Oh, that's terrible.
Now you're calling him Little Pimp.
Human rights over money.
Yeah, fucking.
Human rights is he violating? First of all, second of all, if you have no property, you have no fucking rights. If you have no money, you have no rights. Get the fuck out of here,
Tommy.
What?
Little Pimpin' Pete.
Little Pimpin' Pete? Is he in the chat or something?
No, Pioxy said.
Little Pimpin' Pete. Pimpin' Pete will be there. He said that's too funny. Let's see. I wanted to hear him say fucking the media, because that's the one thing that lasts with me. I don't think there's any corner of the media that's fucking legit or anything else. I literally, like, I think your best bet is to find a news YouTuber that is honest as humanly possible, that doesn't have a fucking network connection. I think that may be the future of news anyway. Which would be great.
Yeah.
Which would be great. These news networks are jokes. Let's see.
Did you ever hear what Biden's views on marriage was?
Yeah, sure.
That's how you used to get married. Now they're saying two fellas can't get married, but I remember when it was you wanted to get married to somebody, you put a gun to their head, and you said either it's you or your papa. One of you is gonna get it.
There you go.
What is this shit somebody sent me? This
That's on an interview.
This fucking
legit interview with Joe
50
Biden.
Cent, Wayne versus Eminem. What?
Because fucking Eminem, he endorsed Biden yesterday.
Oh, I get it.
Yeah.
That's for a little pimp. Got any little hose I can sniff? Joe Biden. Yeah, well, you know, one thing about Joe, he is a character. So if he is president, at least we can goof. He might give us a lot of. I remember, like, when I was a kid, like, when George Bush, the first George Bush, got elected, they said, Rush Limbaugh's run is over, you know, because or no, was that it was Clinton when Clinton was elected? It's over, right? And then when the other Bush got elected, it was like, it's over, you know, no, he just cancer is going to take him out, not fucking popularity. There's always something to talk about. There's always something, like, I mean, look at the media. I mean, how much money did the media let, you know, go last year, just being insane about Trump with 24-hour TDS. So there's going to be plenty to talk about, plenty to do, you know, no matter who's president.
They're still making money on the virus.
Oh, yeah.
I guess, yeah. I tuned out of the virus a long time ago. You got a 90% chance of fucking surviving it. Here's the thing, you know, for these people that say that Trump didn't do a good job. First of all, the numbers are almost identical as far as death is concerned to Europe and the United States, and that's pretty close. A group of 500 million people living in the Western world versus 300 million in the United States, all right? The death rate is actually slightly higher per capita in Europe as a whole, like Western Europe as a whole, but it's still not, it's not so significant that it isn't. Nobody was turned down for any, oh, by the way, I'm not trying to be neutral here. I was neutral on my fucking, for anybody that's going to give me some horse shit. When I'm on here, I don't know about shit.
It's like you told me yesterday whenever I tested for the antibodies, and you said that means I had it at one point. Yeah, I didn't even know.
You had it. You didn't even know. Oh, yeah, that's right. Doc's got the antibodies. he tested for it. So he had it and lost it. We were told it was going to be millions. We were told 2 million here in Germany, right? We were told it was going to be millions. It turned out to be a couple 100,000. Of course, that's sad. That's sad. You got 90% chance of fucking beating this goddamn thing. We've shut down the entire economy, damaged our economy, you know, probably in ways that it can't be fixed going into the future. And
I've seen so many businesses close.
Nobody got turned down for a fucking iron lung or breathing apparatus anywhere in the country. The hospitals did not overflow like they did in Wuhan and throughout Italy. I think reasonably good job. And I did notice, one of the things I always like to point out, one of the things I remember when this thing first started, Doc, we were looking at the death rate when it first started, and we're like, oh my God.
We're like, holy shit.
Oh my God. And then all of a sudden it starts to dip, and then like, look at the infection rate. Well, no shit. People are going to get infected. I knew that, right? It's the worst day. 20, 30,000 infections. Yeah, but who's fucking dying? And if you caught it early, you know, you had pre-existing condition, or you're old, boy, you are in big trouble. But now they know ways to treat it. You know, now they was so, you know, people the way he bobbled COVID. Well, did Boris bobble COVID? Did Merkel bobble COVID? How come? Boy, the president of Italy.
That's what I was gonna say. I mean,
the president of Italy doesn't get any shit about at least on the European stage. Maybe inside the country he does bobbling. And so why is Trump's handling of COVID just so much dramatically different?
Yeah, like what about Boris?
Boris, yeah. And here's another thing, all you fucking Americans that don't live in Europe, our rules here in Germany, at least, I can't speak for the rest of the country. Oh, God, I can speak for the Netherlands. Our rules here in Germany were 10 times looser than New York, New Jersey, and the whole tri-state ever was. And you guys lost way more people than we did. And, you know, you got that Dolto, but if he didn't do it on purpose, Cuomo putting the patients in with in nursing homes. Well, we didn't do that in Germany. What a shock. And New York makes up for something like 20% of the total death rate. You know, Jesus Christ. You know, 1 month I'm listening now. We weren't turned down for thinking they got a fucking beautiful ship to take patients over in the Hudson River or whatever the fuck it is. That's not the Hudson River. Hudson River, and then they build the thing over at Hell's Kitchen.
It's just a waste of money.
Jacob Javits Center. And they find out the hospitals never overflowed to the point in Manhattan and in New York City to where we thought. We didn't have the death rate we thought. So, look, I don't know if Trump bobbled it or not. I don't know if he could have done a better job. I think that's fucking speculation at the most. But here's what I do know. It doesn't look any worse than Europe. And that's the best fucking comparison, is the entire western part of Europe, because that's the most like the United States economically. It has, you know, and it's about, you know, 305 million. It's a 200 million people difference. So the Eurozone,
I'll be honest with you.
Eurozone didn't do as well. No one's
kind of retarded.
No one's saying they bobbled it. And nothing happened in Italy like happened in the United States. Nothing. And God knows what happened in China because they stopped keeping count after fucking 3,000
Dude,
died.
France is fucked, dude. France is just fucked. They're on like tier 3 or tier 2
really?
right
Is
now.
France that fucked? And that's what I'm saying. I don't think anybody's
They should
fucked.
on another lockdown.
We're in a mini lockdown. We're making a. Look, it's getting cold again. We're gonna get. I think sure the heat had something to do with it, you know, because we didn't get too many cases. When I was in the Netherlands, you didn't have to wear a mask. They just told you, keep your distance. Now they're getting blasted now. I told you that story about Memphis. You know, during the swine flu, after the First World War, they thought those people were fucking immune. Third wave came. Oh boy, did they get figgity fucked. I had to say this, guys, too, when it comes to something like a flu or something like this. And then this would be like, I wouldn't call it a bad flu season. I would call it a hyper bad flu season, seriously danger. But compared to pandemics that we've seen in even the 20th century.
I'm like a queer that won't admit it.
Thanks. This is nothing. It's nothing. If you get it, you're probably going to beat it. My 17-year-old aunt got it, beat it. My 65-year-old uncle got it, beat it. Twoon got it, beat it. Doc got it, beat it. Green Man got it, beat it. How come I don't know if he's dead? Because I don't know any 90-year-olds.
I didn't even know I had it.
Yeah, of course. You know how long my aunt had it? By the way, she's 73. Or she's older than my dad. You know how long? You know how she had it for?
Was it like a few days?
2 days. And then my uncle, right? Her husband, who she probably got it from because he's a bus driver in Newark, right? He had it for like a week. He was kind of run down for a week, but he started moving again in about 4 days. You know?
Yeah.
So it's bad. It's fucking dangerous. There's no inoculation for it, but it's not what they're saying it is. And the reason they're actually saying there's a political advantage to say, you know, I mean, one guy's talking about lock it up, stay inside, and be afraid. You know, you got blue states like Maine, they don't even have 100 deaths, and they're talking about locking it down for more than a year or before we get the vaccine. Here's the scenario. What if we never get the vaccine? Never! It's possible. Yeah. There's lots of stuff we don't have vaccines for. Well, I always hear people say this. Like, we'll have the vaccine by then. What makes you say that? So what are you going to do? You're going to shut down the whole world? You know, it used to be you risk your life for your livelihood. And nobody can stop you from doing it. Trump 2020, Biden-Harris fears our truck. Look at Texas. I did not like that. I disavow. Whatever went on in Texas.
I disavow.
That was stupid.
I'm glad it's the last days because the Trump crowds behaved themselves pretty much through this whole thing. Why the left riots and burns and even murders in 2 cases. One's Colorado, the other's in Oregon. But yeah.
No, I was just saying, going back to the thing you were talking about before, I think I know because I went to the emergency room probably a little over a week ago because I wasn't feeling well. And they did the test and all that, and they said it came back negative. And so they told me I had the light bronchitis, the early stages.
That was probably what it was.
Or no, it was the early. No, they said early stages of pneummonia.
Yeah, so you misidentified.
So they put me on they gave me the steroids, they gave me the shot, did all that.
Yeah.
And then I got a test again, and then I got the antibodies.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like they're not. Oh, well, you can't say they're over fucking doing it at your hospital. They fucking probably flat out blew it. That's another thing too. Where Doc lives, they might not have the tools to test correctly. Maybe Doc's tester was a dipshit or extreme dad. You never know. It's with this stuff. It's
62 IQ.
It's a virus. It's dangerous. I don't disagree with the initial knockdown. Nobody knows how it's now, but now we know it's just something we can live with and we'll move on with. It's not
basically if you live in a place where they say to wear a mask if you're outside, just do it.
Yeah, just do what you got to do.
Literally,
and that's another thing too. Like somebody gave you those antibodies.
Yeah.
I've heard the.
Well, you got to think.
I remember like Tucker Carlson did this thing where he was taking parts of the CDC and like total lockdown may not have been a good idea so far. That's what CDC says, and they fucking. They put a fucking thing on his video, or they shut down his video or something on Fox News. I mean, you can't get the truth. You can only get what the Democrats want you to hear about fucking COVID. So, yeah, I mean, a lot of stuff that I think the lockdown was correct. We got to fucking see as good as how many people this is going to kill, but I mean, you got a 90% chance of beating this fucking thing? You kidding me? The people that are screaming about masks and lockdowns are the ones that put COVID patients with in nursing homes. Like, fuck them. You can't even, it's not even a matter like on YouTube and big tech censors you on something like this or diverts you or warns you, put a thing in there saying you're not right. It doesn't matter if you're a doctor. It doesn't even matter if you're using the CDC. It matters if you're not keeping the, lefty narrative. That's the problem. You mean to tell me like I can't, like, Biden's pissing and moaning early. How can they say this about doctors? Well, what about the doctors that disagreed with the way we handled this? Why did they get censored? Why did they get shut down? They got me. Like, it's not about protecting people or anything. It's about controlling the narrative. Who the fuck are you kidding? New York Post, controlling the narrative. Shutting down the White House fucking Twitter, controlling the narrative. That's all this is. I mean, what does Tim Pool put on there? You got people like this. Imagine Trump said this. Under no circumstances will Donald Trump be declared the victor on election night. Well, that sounds kind of... And weren't they fucking saying he wouldn't step down from power if he lost?
Yeah. And then
like under no circumstances? I mean...
What is this, Russia?
Hillary Clinton said under no circumstances. Under no circumstance? What if you lose? Concede? Let me speak. Yeah, that sounds like you guys are being crazy. Backlash that Trump will be out of office in 2021 and locked up for all the deaths Trump caused. All 230,000. Yeah, he caused them all. Well, are they going to lock up fucking Merkel over here? Are they going to lock up Boris? They're going to lock up the Danish queen? It's fucking
so Trump lock them all up and let us run the world.
All
no, just lock them all up. Let us run the world.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, lock people up. I thought that was a bad thing when Trump's fans said lock him up. That guy was probably.
Let's just turn into idiocracy.
Yeah, we already are.
We already getting there. Yeah,
already getting there. So yeah, I don't buy all this fucking hyperventilating. Oh my God, all these people are the blood's on his hands. Give me a break. It's a fucking political slogan. The blood's on his hands doesn't mean anything. It's a fucking virus. Well, fucking he got it, for Christ's sakes. He survived. He got us 70 years old.
That's because he's just made different, bro. His DNA is special.
Look at this. Look at this. Look at this guy. This hero Scarborough.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, the difference here is a lot of those voters already have gone out and decided who they want to win. If you just look at the data, if you look at the polling, and if you look at how consistent the polling has been, your mind and your eyes for data tell you that Joe Biden has a comfortable lead. But as Bill McIntyre...
I thought, you see what I mean? They're changing the... He was fucking a ringer. It was over.
Turf, our pollster here, said this is the most competitive 10-point race he's ever seen when that new NBC News Wall Street Journal poll came out yesterday showing Joe Biden nationally with a 10-point lead. It's going to be a wild night, and Donald Trump has already signaled that. He said, effectively, we're going to flood the zone with our lawyers. We're going to send him into Pennsylvania. And
last tone, Monday Night blamed the worldwide deaths. I know he did. He looks, I'll be honest with you, he looks ridiculous.
Michigan and Wisconsin, and we are going to dispute this election. No matter what happens, he's already saying that. Meanwhile, there's some...
I got to be honest, I don't like that kind of talk, but it's happened on both sides.
Yeah.
I mean, we were told it was just the easiest fucking thing in the goddamn world to do these write-in ballots. The write-in ballots were to cause this madness. That's exactly what they were for. We already had a write-in system. It's what I did. It's called an absentee. They wanted to add one more, so there's mayhem. There's complete and total mayhem. That's what they pushed. They said it wouldn't be a problem. They said they edited Trump's tweets on Twitter. Said it was false information. The idea is to keep it going forever. They're fighting in court now. How many days can you go? And I watched this happen with the 2000 election. They just kept recounting and searching for votes until they got the result they wanted. They act like a Trump signal. So's the Democratic Party.
Reports to say he could go out and declare victory as early as he can on Tuesday night. Of course, he will not have won, but he's going to go out and try to say it anyway.
We can assure you.
So I'm going to tell you. Now, Trump reportedly, it's not even fucking fact. Trump reportedly said he's just going to go out and declare victory with his header behind or whatever. Okay. Now listen what Scarborough says. He says they're both crooked then.
We're going to be doing coverage on Peacock, and we can
That's
assure
a lot of
you
money,
if Donald
I guess,
Trump goes
for a
out and
person of
declares
color.
victory, we will be there to say, don't take the feed.
Right.
Hear that? Mm-hmm. So it's both ways. And here's the thing. Trump reportedly said it. Joe Scarborough said it. Wow, look how crazy it is. Don't listen to Donald Trump. And you know what I take that. What's the minimum votes you need for
I think it's like 260.
260. That's the thing. 260. Well, if he has 260 and declares it, and they say that's what they're gonna do. Hold on. He's got the maximum.
270.
270. Okay.
Yeah, 270.
Yeah, that's what they're due. So if he gets 270, they're going to turn around and say, no, it's not over. We haven't recounted all the fucking ballots that were going to go so smoothly. Whatever. He loses.
Should have been counting your ballots.
270. There you go.
A week ago.
Hey, it stops the chat when I switch screens.
You want to take calls?
What?
I was going to say, take some calls.
Yeah, sure.
Take calls?
I'll take calls.
Pull up Indigo Child, because he's been talking about Biden child a lot. I'm gonna see where this goes.
Indigo Child, you're on here. Hello? Of course, Indigo Child is not ready.
Going to the mic check
Man
area.
Beach Stanky. Or what does he call him? Man Best. I don't know what his name is. Fuck that guy. Man, whatever your fucking name is. You're on here.
Boy, I'll tell you, I'm definitely worried about, the election, as I'm sure a lot of people are. Mainly not about like who's winning, but the aftermath of whoever wins.
Yeah, that seems to be a theme. They said 70% of polled Americans said violence. 73% I think it was. Well, that's just unfortunate. I'm hoping that's
There's
not
probably already violence going on, like in the lines and shit.
Probably.
Saw this video on like Omni's channel. I don't know if it's like actually happened or not, or it's like taken out of context. But these like Trump supporters were like harassing this one girl. And they were like, it was like some like van or something or a truck.
No, there was some kind of truck incident. There was some kind of truck incident.
Just pouring out of this truck.
There's some kind of truck incident in Texas. I know that. I disavow that. I disavow hecklers too. I don't like when people go to political events and try to keep the speaker from speaking. I don't think that's in the spirit of the First Amendment.
You know why it really worries me? Because I know if like violence does happen, it's definitely going to affect me in some way. Because I know for a fact. My dad and all my really like relatives, there's fighting, they're gonna join to defend our home. Or,
where do you live? Where do you live?
No.
Where do you live?
I live in Texas.
In the woods, right?
Oh, I live near Houston.
Do you? Like well, that's where it's gonna happen, and probably not in Houston. It's probably gonna have place in the East Coast and Pacific Northwest. So don't worry, you can put your guns away. That's where it's going to start. Maybe. It's not going to start where everybody's united. It's going to start with this crossover. Right. So relax there. Relax there, generally. Cool your jets.
I don't want fighting. I'm pretty.
I'm not saying you do. And when I was young like you, I was like all ready to fight everybody. But just relax. What's scary is Trump is calling The hecklers in his favor, patriots making the divide even further from peace. Well, you know, I don't know that he said that, and that is spooky. But you know, tell you something, I didn't have one person fucking donate to me and say all that fucking rioting that was going on was scary. You know, all this other fucking horse shit. Or the goddamn newspaper articles, or the censorship, or the editing of tweets. Now we've seen some bad behavior towards the very end. Loud. We've seen some very heckler loud noises. That's pretty funny. We've seen some very ends with some inappropriate behavior by Trump supporters, which I totally disavow. I can't stand that shit.
Antifa and Trump supporters, both.
Yeah, but the Antifa either doesn't exist. That's my perfect personal favorite, or it's not that big a problem.
I saw the video when they broke that fucker's teeth in.
Yeah, like that. Those are the kind of people. Yeah. I mean, Jesus Christ, how many situations where Trump supporters just, you know, bash the fucking mouth off of somebody, or, you know, like burn down burn down somebody's business or something like that. I mean, look, the left got the fucking the W for the most violence this year. All right, yeah, that fucking horse shit with Trump supporters. But
I was in like sixth
what it is? Everything that happens that's bad on the right is an epidemic. You know, and then everything, like, you got fucking city after city burning to the fucking ground, and that's not an epidemic. That's the one thing. So you have a handful of people that are acting out of line. Whatever happened in fucking Texas, you don't stop. That's a dangerous situation. That's no good. It's unfucking acceptable. You got a couple of assholes here and there. And then, you know, I'm supposed to ignore all the shit that I've seen Antifa. I'm not even just doing since the Antifa doing, not even just since COVID, but for the last 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
You know? So, I mean,
I was in 6th grade when I think Trump got elected, and I do remember how like tense it was around the country. Definitely in like my area and on the internet.
I didn't think he was gonna win until like the last week. I'm like, which is funny because that's when they're saying that he had absolutely no chance. But I'm like, wait a minute.
I don't think a lot of people did.
The vibe online, the way people were talking, you know, like people don't really remember. Like things weren't that great under Obama. It was just kind of like mediocre at best. I think what people wanted when the hope and change, they wanted a booming economy. That's what they wanted. Yeah. They want a booming, healthy economy. And you add around 2014, I you know, Verse makes fun of when I bring this up, but Gamergate, but forget Gamergate as an event, but more of the cultural change. There's so many more of these progressives and people on the left that are just fucking irritating. And they irritate like normal liberals and regular people. They're just fucking irritating. They've literally taken the place of the right-wing Christian irritant. Like, those people were fucking irritating. They're always telling everybody how to fucking live. They're acting like they're holier than thou. You know, get off the fucking cross. We need the wood. I used to say that in the 80s. And then that's been replaced by, you know, screaming feminists, the Antifa, Black Lives Matter. And not to mention the fact, no Christian ever kicked the shit out of me, knocked my teeth out, or shot me at a bus stop. You know, it doesn't really happen.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, wow, what the fuck are these people? What Antifa? You know, and Antifa seems to be a lot more violent in the States than they were over here. I've been dealing with Antifa. We used to come and protest at the base. I've been dealing with Antifa for the better part of 15 years over here in Germany. I think it has its roots here in Germany. And they're a pain in the ass, and they're far left, and they're wacko communists. But I don't think they have been anywhere near as insane as they have been in the United States for the past 3 to 4 years. You know. Yeah, but they used to come to the post. You know what the Antifa used to do over here, like 10 years ago? They would when like the far right, like, you know, legitimate neo-Nazis, NPD, which is what's left of the Nazi party. When they would have rallies or get together, you know, all 20 of them show up, and like 200 Antifa people would show up. And, you know, they just kick the shit out of the righties. Nobody gave a shit because they're scumbags too, you know. And they would, you know, they kick the hell out of these fucking, you know, gap-toothed, inbred fucking morons, you know, screaming how Hitler was such a great job and he did such a good job over here. But, you know, it's like, you know, I think the pendulum kind of flipped. I think they're the wackos, and they're the most irritating. When you think about Karens and think about, you know, people, you know, we've had situations in Canada, where they're making it illegal to listen to certain speakers or firing people or taking some these tribunals of human rights violations, and it's really just words that supposedly had broken the law. I've seen a lot more of this shit. Get the Count-Dankula situation. Yeah, they're just way more fucking irritating, and I think that's what helped push Trump. I think that was the Oedipus. Does he have it this time around? Now that everybody's kind of used to the whole thing, I don't know. I remember thinking, like, when the whole skeptic thing kind of got broken up on here on YouTube, is like, well, it was kind of a cultural shock when that happened. Does that mean now that it's gone that it'll affect his election chances? And we're going to find out. If
I am curious to see how many people in the country aren't actually going to be voting. Like able-bodied voters that aren't going to be
probably
voting.
around
Not like
80-90%, like there usually is.
I think there's gonna be like a huge spike, and there's probably already going to be.
You're 16. Get the fuck out of here. Bye. Thanks for calling. Bye. You're 16.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah, you know shit, bro. No offense.
Yeah, you're 16. Let's put a Russian point of view. Raw, you're on the air.
How was this thing that I went through?
What?
This voting thing, because I'm kind of scared because I already live in a country where we have protests every Saturday because of the votes.
Yeah, you live under Putin.
You
guys can't do democracy republic stuff. You're too backwards, you Russians. You know that?
Well, I'm not a Russian. It's Belarus.
Every
Saturday.
Wait, you're in Belarus? You're in Belarus?
Black.
I thought you moved to Russia. I knew you were white Russian, but I thought you moved to.
No, I live here.
You live
Belarus,
where? Where's here?
In Belarus.
All right.
Belarus.
All right. Let me give everybody an idea what a shithole Belarus is. Great people, by the way, except for Raw. He's weird, but great people. White Russians, real cool. All right. They were one of the first countries to say liberty back in '89, and they were also the only country that went back by vote to the old communist-like system. So we're talking to somebody who basically lives in, Camilla Harris's dreamland. I'm surprised they let you protest.
People are protesting and actually trying to, get democracy.
Yeah, well, you guys blew it. Now you got to kill for it.
Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented.
So how are you guys gonna hack the elections today?
How can you talk over the sound effects? No, you got to kill somebody for it. You had your chance. And you guys blew it. Before you were born, I think. But, I mean, tough shit. No, you guys were the first countries to start making noise, if I remember correctly. You fucking blew it. When the wall fell. And you guys were making noises before the Czech Republic or Germany. It actually was Poland first, and just dominoes fell from there. But if I remember correctly, it was like you guys, Kazakhstan, you guys were making the noise first. That's how the Soviet Union started falling. And then you went right back to an authoritarian system. Now, it's not as awful as the Soviets, but it's pretty fucking bad.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
That's why people are protesting and trying to,
you need to pick up a gun. That's the only way to beat those people.
I mean,
or you're gonna have to have complete economic, the bottom's got to fall out. Because as long as people you're on the internet right now, and you're probably playing video games and shit, and as long as it's like that, no one's gonna really want to get up for, real revolution.
No one's revolution, but protests, civil protests, 200,000 people.
Civil protests, you guys. Look, if your protests gain any steam, they'll kill the leaders. That's it.
Probably true.
Yeah, exactly. So what's the point? What are you gonna do? Yeah, I mean, your situation in the United States is like night and fucking day. Night and fucking day. It's just so out of the realm of. And let me tell you something. These kids that are listening right now, they have no fucking idea. And you probably don't have any idea because all you know.
And I have no idea.
You have no idea.
I was in Ukraine and Belarus.
Go back to Ukraine. Well, they're in a war over there, so I don't know if you shouldn't do that. I don't know. If I were you, just get the fuck out. You barely have a Russian accent. Get the fuck out of here.
That's the plan.
Yeah, it's the plan. You gonna come to Europe or the States?
I don't know.
Yeah, good luck with that.
I think Europe.
All right. Take whatever's less communist.
Yeah. Why?
Take whatever's less communist. Bye. I like him. I always have.
In the words of George Carlin, get the fuck out of my way, man!
The Indigo Child, you're on the air. The second chance.
Dude, don't embarrass me. Come on.
Hello.
Hey, how are you? How can I help you?
Hello.
Yo, Tommy, I got some questions for you.
Sure.
I've had to pause the stream, so I don't know if they've already been asked.
Sure, no.
So, if Bernie was Democratic candidate, would you vote for him?
No. He's socialist.
So what?
You watch the show.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. Why would you ask me that?
Yeah. Well, Tommy, here's the thing.
Okay.
I was watching the show, and then you were like, I'm neutral, and then you were like, well, the left kills and the left riots.
I never said I was neutral. I said I tried to make it not a fucking about a shoe. Wait a minute. Didn't I say in this fucking show that if you're expecting neutrality, this is not the show to listen to today, guys? Correct? Yes. And I was neutral on the news channel. I put a very neutral go out and vote message today. Are you a dipshit?
Yes, you're right.
You are a dipshit. You're right. Okay. Anything else?
I'm not.
You're not a dipshit? Do you have a hearing problem? Are you a deaf radio listener? Are you special?
So why do you think Trump is better then?
Why do I think Trump's better? I like his economic policies. I like the idea that people keep their own money.
But why do you believe that? Why do you think?
Well, because I've lived 40 years now, and at the times when my country had an economic booms were both times when people kept both their money. So I have like 40 years experience during the early 80s, in the early 90s. People keep their money. There's economic prosperity, and when you don't have that, you have the opposite.
But Tommy, why do you think that?
Why do I think that? I just told you I saw it in two different scenarios over a span of 40 years. Why don't you listen to what I said? You know what it is? You're so fucking biased. You're so biased. You can't think outside of your bubble. That you asked me a question, I answered it, but why you weren't supposed to answer that way? Yes, I've seen two examples where it's been prosperous and good for the country. Why do I think that? Look at the numbers. It's not even a matter of thinking. We had the best economy up until COVID. I mean, this is beating the Reagan economy.
But Tommy, we also have, in terms of economics, you have the 1% taking most of the money, and the
you're fucking brainwashed. You want to hear something? You want to hear something? You know what? You want to hear something about the 1%? And you should listen to economist Thomas Sowell. All right. Nobody's the 1% every year. It's something where people move in and move out on. You might be 1% one year, and you might not. The people that make that kind of fucking cash, that very top 1%, they move in and out of it all the time. It's not a cabal of fucking Jews. It's not the way. Here's the thing. Your knowledge of economics is just completely ignorant and probably sold to you by fucking by Marxists that couldn't make it in the real world that ended up teaching you in school. Here's the thing. It's better.
Actually,
I've seen it work better. And I honestly, like, the entire left-wing outlook is more power and control. And if they have more power and control, your life will be better. Well, I've seen exactly the opposite through my lifetime. The less control government has.
Did you see how the government reacted to the riots? How can you say that's not? How can you not say that's controlled, Tommy?
The riots were controlled. That's things going completely out of control.
But you have the right to protest, and that was complete fascism. Like,
wait. You have the right to protest, but that was complete fascism. I think the protesters kind of won. They fucking burned down everything. Cops were arrested left and right. What are you talking about? What are you watching? You know, it's kind of funny to me that you didn't hear what I said. You tried to paint me as somebody being biased, even though I was going to be biased. You completely forgot that I said that. And now you've completely changed subjects. And that's what I do. I used to have a guy, his name was Kevin. He used to do what you're doing now. He keeps flipping and flipping to the next. How is that now fascism? The rioters won. Everybody, I don't think they did enough to crack down on him.
Tommy, peaceful protesters were not working, and it's clearly shown, right?
Oh, really?
All of the riots and all of the
It started off as a fucking riot and never stopped. What are you talking about?
Okay,
look, you know how the riots kicked off nationwide? You know what do you remember what the moment was when that happened? Because I do. I bet you don't. Exactly.
What
the police precinct in Minnesota.
What was it?
the police precinct was taken over in Minnesota that those officers worked at. It was completely ransacked. The government that was in charge told those cops not to defend it. Once they pulled out,
money, I guess,
riots broke out from Los Angeles to New York. So what are you talking about?
How do you not think that's a coincidence when pretty much every... Tommy,
you like the Alan Stone of the left. You know, how do you not? Why do you ask all the questions when I answer them? You just ask me another one.
Because you're the person doing a stream to 300 people. I'm just a person.
Oh, so you're allowed to bounce all over the place and not communicate? You're just going to pepper me with questions and not have any kind of conversation?
You're asking questions, but you're moving the goalposts.
You're moving the ball left and right. You're trying to win. You're not trying to have a conversation. And it's insulting. It's actually really insulting. This is why I like to put people like... Here's another thing. I love putting people on... I like exposing this. You don't want to have a conversation. You want to win.
I'm asking questions.
You're asking ridiculous questions.
You've been proven wrong 6 times.
6 times. And when I give you an example, why do you feel that way? In other words, I feel that way. You're trying to get me to say something like that makes me a bad person. Well, even if I was a bad person, am I wrong or not?
Tommy, I don't think you're a bad person.
Oh, shut up. Listen to what I'm saying. Don't try to sit there and personalize everything. Learn how to critically think.
I'm responding to your questions.
Like, why do we have 12? Why isn't this not a conversation? Here's the thing. You don't know how to have one.
I know how to have one. I'm just asking.
You don't know how to have one. You don't even understand the words I'm saying. Are you autistic? Wait a minute. Pull up. You autistic?
No.
You sure?
You sure? Yes. I'm
okay. Because I don't pick on autistic, except for Bo Baxton. He deserves it.
Well, I've always told me if you don't like me, you don't like me.
I don't dislike you at all.
Yeah.
I dislike. You know what I dislike? I dislike about you. You're the way you move the goalposts. The fact that you're just trying to play gotcha with me, and when you don't fucking get your way, you're trying to play gotcha somewhere else. That's not a conversation. But I do like it in the sense. But let me finish. I do like it in the sense where I get to expose people that think like you.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, that's what I like to do. I like to see you're not interested in a conversation. You're interested in winning, which is kind of why I vote the way I do and feel the way I do, because you're trying to justify more control and I'm trying to justify less.
Mate, Tommy, I want fucking freedom wherever I am,
Except
maybe you are right. Maybe you are right. I don't
except
know.
Where?
Have a nice day.
Why? Where do you want freedom? I mean, that's a really interesting question because I got to be honest with you. The entire in Europe as well. Where does the left want more liberty for the individual? What example? Besides gay marriage, which they already have over here for the most part throughout Europe. Besides abortion, where because abortion would be a liberty. Get married. Where does the left want to increase my liberty as somebody who's living in Europe?
That's where you're wrong about me, Tommy. I don't.
No. Answer the question. Where does the left? Where do people that think like you? All right. Well, where do people like you want to increase my liberty?
Well, in everything, I want free.
In what? Give me one example. One example.
What do you mean one example?
One example where my liberty will increase as being a citizen of Germany and the European Union.
Well, Tommy, I don't like European politics.
Oh,
I don't like...
Bye. You can't answer a question. You're dopey. But I like it.
You ain't got the answers. You ain't got the answers, Sway.
Dude, that guy reminded me of fucking Tonka.
What's that?
Just trying to talk.
Talk
I
for
said
the
he
sake of
reminded me of
talking.
Tonka.
Yeah, but I don't think he's as vicious. I think that's
not as bad.
Yeah, I don't think he's like. I think that's the way he's been taught to interact with people. I don't think it's his fault. I don't even he's probably a good guy. He's been taught that anybody that holds opposing views all you have to do is kind of scratch a little bit, and then you'll find the fascist.
Yeah.
You know, so like, what about this? And what about that? And what about that? Just change over and over again.
This is gonna be a good call.
Yeah. Which one? Next? Who? What's next? Oh, him? Yeah, he's all over the place. Let's get somebody new in there. Alpha Kimono. I like new callers. I think they can handle it. How are you, sir? Ma'am? Alpha Kimono.
Hey, how's it going?
Yeah, I can help you.
Hey, I actually wanted to talk about something specific.
Sure, go ahead.
It's kind of not been talked about by a whole lot of people, but there's some I guess it has been brought up, but there's some stuff Biden said about like gun control and stuff.
Yeah.
And as someone who was in the military, I wanted to ask your opinion on like how that situation would play out if he got elected and started immediately putting in place some of these gun restrictions that he's talked about.
Well, first of all, if he does it by legislature, then he does it by law. And that's the end of that story. I think what you're talking about is the fear that it'll be done by executive order. And that changes things. First of all, people got to enforce the executive order too. And there certain police stations would say, we're not under executive command. But does that mean the FBI has to start enforcing it statewide? I mean, it's kind of a crazy thing. I don't know. Don't really want to think about it. I think depending on the culture of the state, would depend on the reaction I guess, for of it. I mean, here's the thing: we have 300 million people. There's something like 500 million guns, and if you want to do what they want to do, you're gonna have to kick some doors down, and you're gonna have to spill some blood. And you're gonna have to spill. You're not spilling blood of like drug dealers or fucking spies or criminals. You're spilling the blood of a guy who has a shotgun or an AR-15 in his house, and he's got a family of 3. That's what you're doing. So it's one thing to talk the game. It's another thing completely to find somebody to support it. Now you have to get the cops. You're going to be putting the cops at risk by kicking down those doors and everything else. Because what will happen is, if the executive order goes through, which they don't have the power to do that. The executive order is not for making a substitute for legislation. If there's an executive that all AR-15s are banned, let's say worst case scenario. Okay, first of all, it's got to be enforced. There are some people in the United States that say he can't do that, and constitutionally he can't. So if they can't get it through the Supreme Court, if they can't get it through the legislature, there is always a threat that they'll do it that way. I mean, one of the worst things that Obama did in his whole presidency, I got a pen and a phone. And unfortunately, Trump continued some of that practice, which I completely disagree and disavow. So yeah, if that were to come down to that, I think in southern Midwestern states, especially states where you kind of need a gun to work and survive, places where police departments are pretty far away, that is one hell of a way to that is one hell of enforcement. The idea that people just turn in their guns and stuff like that would be I don't see that happening anywhere outside the North.
To be honest, I think when it is brought up, I think it's a little sensationalized.
Yes, I agree.
Not necessarily as like I wouldn't say it's like to the degree of some of the other things that are brought up, especially. Well,
I'm not trying to sound some right-wing man, 1776 Rising. I'm not trying to say that, but I would have to ask under that hopefully fantastic scenario. I can't imagine obeying it. Now, I obey that in Europe because I don't have those rights to begin with, right? I never had those rights to begin with, like an AR-15. But in the States, if somebody were to rule by decree because they couldn't get a Supreme Court decision to go their way, or they couldn't get a they couldn't get a legislation that they wanted, I'd have to think that's ruling by decree. And yeah, I would say that I think violence would almost be justified in that scenario. Let me be clear. In that scenario, in that fantastic scenario, let me be 100% clear. But yeah, if President Harris demands that all AR-15s be turned in by the next 6 months, then yeah, I think it's on. And I will not criticize anybody that fights against that type of authoritarianism. No, I wouldn't speak out against it at all, even the violence that came with it. But Jesus Christ. I mean, that's pretty crazy, don't you? I hope so. Oh.
I really don't see it as a realistic scenario. It's just a lot of the things that Biden's said, maybe not like in some of the debates or any of the real public scenarios, but like on his websites or I think Kamala Harris brought it up a couple times as well. But
to me, the Second Amendment debate's over. We found out what government does when there's a real problem. They let you fend for yourself. And we see a lot of Minnesota and Los Angeles and your business, but fuck you. Cops aren't doing anything. George Floyd situation happens, you're on your own. And you know what? If you do defend yourself legally, we'll probably arrest you in the Kyle Rittenhouse, or those people in St. Louis. So yeah, they are laying I will say they are laying the groundwork for that kind of violence for sure. You know, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't, catch 22. But yeah, if any sitting president, Republican or Democrat, or any time would make an executive order to turn in small arms to the federal government, I absolutely would support a violent uprising. I don't say that with anything, but that is not what I want. And that, because let me tell you something, kids, all you fucking right-wing kids are like, oh yeah, I'll get out like a guy, man. Oh, me and my dad, we're gonna go. And you have no idea what you're in for. None.
Yeah, no, that's definitely not optimal scenario.
No idea. You know, you don't know what blood smells like. It is. Ooh. You have no idea what you're in for, and it's not a good situation. It's a really terrible, terrible fucking thing, and it would be probably the first step of the country withering away completely. It's not good on either side, any place, anywhere. But I don't know, with the values that I have and have been brought up to have and believe in, that if they started, 60% taxes, 70% taxes, fucking, no federal legislation to support this executive order. Cops going door to door, people getting arrested, regular people, gun owners getting arrested, getting 10, 20 years. And oh man. Yeah. Like how do you not? That's oppression. That's the clearest form. But yeah, it doesn't, I have noticed with right wingers too, especially when Clinton got elected, everybody tends to think the worst is going to happen when the other guy could get elected, and everything seems to cool off. The only group of people I've ever seen in my life that didn't get over it, and I've seen this when Obama got elected from my side, and from Clinton got elected, everybody's freaking out. The only people that didn't get over it was 4 years ago, when they're still not over it.
Fuck the last guy that called in.
Oh, that guy doesn't know nothing. He lives with his parents. What do you want? He doesn't know nothing. He means well.
He's British.
He's British.
Oh yeah, sure.
He's literally the guy that called the other day and said, he asked me a question about pyro, and he says, we don't have any evidence for that. I was like, oh yeah, well, it's right here. Oh, but you said clowns' videos were that's essentially what that guy did to me rapid fire in the last call.
I have some friends I play games with who are European or whatever. I know the culture's a lot different surrounding guns and whatnot.
Oh, it's dramatically different.
I don't know. It's almost, it's kind of like I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. It's really weird when I talk to people from those other cultures that
they think you're weird.
Experience with firearms and stuff.
They think you're weird.
They
think you're nuts.
I am weird.
But they associate crime with guns. They don't. I tell them some of the strictest gun laws we have are in areas that have the highest crime, and that's what you got to wonder.
I don't see how that happens.
Actual registered gun owners committing crimes is just it's so tiny. Almost all guns are committed with illegal firearms. All crimes are committed with legal firearms. I mean, you know what kind of weapon, what kind of things are crimes that are committed with legal firearms is some guy freaks out on his wife. That kind of stuff. And you could choke her or shoot her. It doesn't really matter. It's not gonna stop her. If you decided to do the deed, you're gonna do it. So that's where most of that stuff is. Drug dealing and any of the serious crimes that affect people day to day. Robbery, dangerous crimes, deadly crimes. It's all illegal weapons. What do we have here? Fucking France. Yeah, a bunch of people get smoked in jail. A bunch of guys run around with guns, and we had that other thing in France when they went to the club and machine gun people. Which is now, it's funny how the terrorists
out there too
have figured out that bombs don't work that well. Small arms is actually more effective with a group of people than bombs are.
Yeah.
Everybody's playing No Rush over here, and nope, it's no big deal. No big deal. So, no, I think the Second Amendment debate is fucking over. They won't do anything
I think,
to protect your business.
I don't know. I kind of get mixed feelings about that. I used to get all my information like listening to YouTube videos and stuff. I never was a big fan of like regular news because it always kind of felt disconnected. But I actually decided to go look at some of those crime statistics everyone talks about. And, oh, look at these numbers here and there and whatever. So I went ahead and looked it up myself, and it's really surprising. Like all these talking points, particularly on Democrats' side, this generation, you know, all the statistics they cite are just completely disconnected from the points they're trying to make. Like,
well, I don't think that. See, I no longer believe, other than like your average Democrat, like somebody would call in here. I don't believe that Democrats want the best for the country. I think they want what's best for government. And what's best for government is more government power. I think one of the reasons they freaked out with Trump is the economy was successful. I mean, we were told over and over again, trickle down economics don't work. They do. I've seen it work twice now. They seem to. I think I'll even go on record in saying this. I think they want to bring in more socialism because they know it destroys the economy. So what you do is you bring all these laws that are counterproductive, anti-capitalist, right? And it collapses economies, and you go, oh, look, that's socialism. Or that's capitalism. Capitalism's fault. And then when you blame capitalism, which is all the fucking high taxes and everything else that they implied to begin with, they get more power. It's like it's a vicious cycle. More taxes don't work. Economy's down. Well, it's because we didn't raise taxes high enough, and because it's capitalism. Capitalism is a problem. Even though every capitalist country on earth is better off than every one that isn't, you know. So yeah, it's like they're the disease and the cure at the same time. So I don't necessarily believe, other than like regular people on the street, I don't believe they have the best of intentions. I don't believe they want a good economy. I think they believe in authoritarian control as long as the right people are in charge. The only authoritarian control they don't like are, you know, authoritarians that don't fall in line with their politics. You know, and this dates all the way back to, you know, before World War II. You know, the left was fucking thought Hitler was great until they invaded Stalingrad. You know, because, oh, well, one's race, the other's class. It's pretty much the same shit. It's the same control. They do what's healthy for government. You know, prior to COVID, you know, the economy was steamrolling. The American economy, it juiced things over here, like just like it did under the Reagan administration. And yeah. I think that's the biggest threat that Trump posed is you don't need them. You don't need all the programs. Their spending is wasteful. That's why that's why they don't deserve your tax money, because they can only spend it on programs that benefit them, that create poverty. I think the programs create the poverty and they create dependence. And when you have poverty and dependence, you look to people that are going to give you shit. And the biggest Santa Clauses out there are the DNC. And it's, you know, socialism in general. That's my opinion. All right, have a good day. Unless you wanted to finish with something. Take care. Bye-bye.
I don't.
All right. Get to the point. Sound Midwest.
How you doing there, buddy?
How you doing there, buddy? Eric, you out here. You gonna blow it, Eric? Which Eric's this? Do I know this Big E?
I don't think so, no.
No, he's a Patreon, so I gotta be nice to him. Maybe not. Probably fell asleep. Political show. How good?
Neighbor.
Angel, you out here.
Hey, brother. How are you doing today?
How can I help you, bro?
Just checking in with you on election day, man. I haven't been able to catch your show like early in the fucking morning for me.
Well, if you're just tuning in, I have no idea who's going to win, and I was pretty sure.
Oh, dude.
I was pretty sure who was going to win every other time but this one.
Pretty
sure Trump was going to win last time, too.
I really don't like Trump, but man, if Trump wins, I am so excited to hear people scream for the next week. Like, that is the best part.
I wonder how many people like you actually voted for Trump. I don't like the son of a bitch, but I hate these people
I
more.
voted, last time, I usually vote Democrat, but I try to not associate. But I fucking couldn't stand Hillary. So I voted for Trump.
So you voted for she didn't like Hillary, yeah.
Oh, then you were that guy.
You were that guy.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, the next day was beautiful. It was the greatest shit show.
Well, you know,
chaos.
the next day was beautiful, but I thought everybody would cool out. instead they dreamed up this fucking phony Russia horse shit, and I think that did great damage to the country.
I agree.
Yeah, I think that did
actually
horrible
agree with that as
damage
well.
to the country.
I feel like if you're gonna swing at a fucking president, you better come with literal
evidence of any kind would be preferable.
It's the first time I've ever seen a president go to get impeached and win.
Yeah. Well, no.
Usually
the second,
they fucking bow
well, that's
out
not
and
true.
they're
That's
like,
not true. Actually, I think that when Bill Clinton was impeached, I think his popularity really solidified after that.
Sure.
Yeah.
Bill Clinton's insane though.
Yeah, but he was impeached. I think it benefited him, is what I'm saying. When he won
Yeah.
too. He was impeached. Both presidents were impeached. They just weren't removed. Yeah, if I remember, one of the best weeks of the Trump presidency, strength-wise, and just a matter of things going his way, was like the week after he's impeached.
I don't know. I just feel like Trump is uneducated, and that
probably
disappoints the hell out of me.
But that's what I think the biggest threat is. I don't think you need to be that educated to do this job.
And that's unfortunately probably true.
I don't know if it's unfortunate. These people blow it up like it's some kind. You need to be a rocket scientist. No,
I feel
you
like
just gotta
the
you gotta make
should
sure
be
everything's
smart.
going. That's it. That's all you gotta do.
Maybe it's just because Congress is so fucked that
You know what kind of job it is? It's a tiring job. It's not that hard.
Yeah.
It's tiring. You got to be up all the time. You got a lot of 16-hour days. I say 16 because I did 16-hour days in Iraq for months. I think it's a lot of that. But I don't think he sleeps anyway. God, he's on all night fucking tweeting no matter what time of day it is.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Yeah. I don't think he sleeps that much anyway. I think guys like him don't sleep that much. Vince McMahon doesn't.
I'm excited for the Joe Rogan podcast tonight. That'll be funny.
What are they doing? What's he doing?
Last time it was called the End of the Year podcast. It was 4 hours long, and it had fucking some of the greatest comedians just fucking watching the election.
Oh, really?
And in the back, like Marilyn Manson's in the back doing cocaine and shit. Like it was
really?
a shit show, and I loved it.
Awesome.
I'd love to see that again. Bill Burr was there.
Bill Burr, he's great. Bill Burr,
I love him.
Yeah, we're big Bill Burr fans. Although I tried to watch that TV show he had, it was awful. F is for Family.
F for Family?
Yeah, it wasn't.
I don't like.
It wasn't my shit
I
either.
hate television so bad. I've got the thing like they say that boys like nonfiction and girls like fiction more, or what have you, and that's true, I guess. But I have gotten to the point where I can't even watch fiction, unless I liked it when I was a kid, like Star Wars or something. I hate everything that's not a documentary. I'm just getting old, I guess.
I love documentaries, but I like run D&D, so fantasy's like an integral part of.
You're a
like,
better
what
person. I can't imagine.
like
The only
to
way
read.
I'm forced through that is if I play a video game and the story better. The best decent story, and it's always comic books I ever had on a video game was the last Spider-Man. Everything else sucked.
I'm the DM, homie. I'm the one making the story.
Yeah.
Every fucking time.
That's left brain orientation. I'm more right brain area. I don't know. I'm not that.
Yeah,
creative.
well, if it was all left brain people in the world, we'd never get shit done. Let's be
you gotta. Yeah. That's why it's that's true. I think nature has a matter of balancing that out.
I do too.
Yeah,
'cause my
I
mom
do.
is
I
super
do because I always say you get these real macho dudes, maybe like me or something, but they're like, oh, to be a man you gotta be like me. No, there's gotta be all different kinds of dudes. You gotta have guys in science. You have guys that are into soldiering. You gotta have smart guys, ambitious guys. And I think nature has and some guys aren't that way. They're just their DNA doesn't work to be like super like traditionally male. I don't think it's a bad thing. I think nature makes different types of people to make the whole show go. That's what I
As someone
think.
who's like really good at computers but is like entirely garbage with cars, I think it takes a special kind of person to just go and do like working at an auto repair shop every day, every night, fucking just doing your thing, trying to push your lifeblood into the fucking human race. You know what I mean? And fucking being good at something is such a
we need
it's
guys
an
like
amazing
that.
thing to me.
We need guys like
It
that,
is.
and we need guys like you too. That's kind of my whole point. We need guys like that. I don't think there's like one way to be. I think you have too much of the. I remember Howard Stern really said when he was talking about the Taliban. The Taliban was a perfect example of the jocks taking over the school.
Real shit, though.
Yeah, I thought it was a really brilliant thing to say. Like, all the jocks took over, and now they're just, they're blowing up shit and ancient stuff, and they can't get enough of just, it is. Jocks can't take over the school. You got to have a nice balance. And I think nature kind of does that automatically. So you just embrace your strength. All right, get out of here, pal. Nice talking to you.
Hey, man, it was great talking to you, Tommy.
Take care. Bye-bye. Let's put Agmore in. We're almost out of time. All right, Agmore, be quick. I want to try to get to everybody. In fact, one and done. Go.
Man, all I gotta say is, man, these last couple of years in terms of fucking candidates, it really fucking sucks.
I don't know.
As somebody who usually votes fucking Republican, man, this shit sucks.
Really?
Like,
I've never been more satisfied than a Republican candidate since I've been able to vote.
Fucking great.
Yeah.
I love Trump to death, but it's like I was somebody that I was really about Mitt Romney back in the day when everybody fucking hated.
Fucking pussy.
Man, I don't know. It's just
I'm almost. I look back. I'm glad Obama won. That guy's a fucking candy ass. Gutless worm he is.
He was so generic white guy, and I don't know.
I'm Mitt Romney. It's probably I think the people picked up on that. They thought Obama was more personable. Mitt was just distant and acted like it was fucking his turn or some shit like that. He's pretty far, probably the furthest left Republican we ever, that ever ran for office.
Yeah.
I didn't vote. By the way, I didn't vote for him. I haven't voted. This is the first election I voted in since Obama, fucking what's his face? McCain. I didn't vote for him. Man, I refused to vote for him, and I refused to vote for Trump the first time.
Man, I'm gonna be honest. I voted for Trump both times.
Did you? Well, good for you. Good for
the
you.
other guy sucks even
My
more.
vote doesn't count anyway. I live in New Jersey, so I have to. When I put my ballot in, it's to New Jersey, so whatever.
Yeah, I'm in Ohio. I'm in one of those fucking weird states.
You're in a battleground state, if I'm not mistaken. No,
yeah, really big battleground.
Yeah, that's a bit of battleground. Yeah.
So. But yeah, all right.
Take care.
Thank you, man. Yep.
Peace, bro.
All right, it's the guy from the Caribbean. His internet could be one and done, and you're out of here. Go.
Come on, keep him on.
I can't let him fucking. His shit.
I know.
All right, what do you got? One and done. We're almost done. We only got. Go ahead.
Actually, wanted you to
what?
Explain what is the left and the right.
To explain it's kind of a general term, to be honest with you. In general, I'm going to try to be as neutral about this as possible. The right, depending on how far right you are. Now, you can go so far right, it's like you almost go back to the left. The idea is with the normal right would be that government should kind of take care of your roads, your bridges, fire department, police department, library, and pretty much hands off everything else along with low taxes. The left believes, in general, and when you ever do this, you never make anybody happy, that more government intervention in your life, things like unemployment protection and things like that. Not every idea on the left. I'm not going to sit there and say every single idea on the left is bad. Probably more government intervention, and the normal right means less government intervention. And I think most people fall on both sides. There should be certain government intervention in this and certain government intervention in that, and then the sides kind of differ on what they feel, assuming they feel what they want is best for the country. That's where they fall. I think that's a pretty good. Of course, there's people on the left that wouldn't want government intervention, like in something like abortion, and there's people on the right that would. So there's kind of an example where it doesn't. Not every simply people say left and right is a matter of political convenience. It never even kind of paints a group correctly, but it's just a matter of convenience because you can't end every sentence with "not all," So yes, and there's some things like I believe they could break these tech monopolies up. That would normally be a left-wing way to look at things. So it really just depends,
The far right and the far left.
The far right, the far left are a little more easy to define. The far right tend to be far nationalist and racial supremacists. All right, things should be decided on racial lines. Where the far left is pretty much just as authoritarian. They're no different. They think things should be decided on lines of class. So you have class, right wing's race, left wing would be class. And this is a very oversimplified way to do it. Yeah. So yeah, that would be probably the easiest term for the far right and the far left. Right. One's race, one's class. Both are authoritarian though. You know, both are. If it was like, if it was the completely the right way. See, like that's why you say you can go so far right, you go left, because far right means a lot of government control that your average Republican or Democrat or conservative would definitely want nothing to do with. Right, so you can go far, but if you really wanted to look like right and left is more government control, the left more control, the far left, far right should be somebody like me that believes in almost no government control, so at all under any circumstances, no matter who the fuck you are, no matter what color skin you have, no matter what your background. So if it actually fit the definition it's supposed to, it would be more libertarian. But far right does usually mean fascism. That's fair. Is that fair, chat?
Sure enough, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
It's a very loose term, but yeah, but
yeah, it's a loose term. All right, I'm running out of time. I'm gonna try to get 2 more people.
Now explain Antifa.
Get that. Okay. Bye, TJT. Thanks for the call. And by the way, call here from all the time. I can understand you.
Please, dude, call in.
Yeah, call in. Percy. I'm not putting Green Man on. Not because I don't like him.
Cool, Jack.
Percy's a kid. Who? I'll put the new guy.
Jack.
One and done, guy. Sorry you came in land. Go ahead.
Hey, Tommy C. How's it going, man? Nice talking to you.
I'm doing great. Hit me. You got to hit me quick because I'm going to answer and hang up.
Okay, I'm going to hit you quick. So I got a question for you based on since you've lived in both cultures.
Sure.
A lot of the people online are like, they'll start piling up on America, like the Europeans will. Other people from the Western civilizations, they'll be saying like, making fun of us for our guns or shit. My question is, if the American people do lose things like due process, freedom of speech, freedom of guns, do you think that will lead to like instant changes
in Europe
around the world? Yeah.
If Trump wins?
No, not anything to do with that. Just I'm saying in general, like if the American people were to lose things like due process, freedom of speech,
would it affect the rest of it? Yes, I think so. Yeah, they would point to the American. Even the Americans don't even do that. Yeah, I think it would. It's a good point.
Yeah, that's what I've always kind of felt. Yeah,
what?
Because if America will come and free you at the moment because that's like our culture. But if we come into this big conglomerate machine where we're
here's one thing. Like I'll just give you this. I think this is Europeans don't learn. Europeans people and as a group, and I don't give a fuck who's in the chat. Nobody learns less from history than Europe. Europeans are absolutely the worst at learning from history. I mean, literally, the idea of the war that ended all wars was dreamed up by the shitheads that live here. I think that has to do. This is a real far off guess on my part. You got to remember something about Europe. We are only 102 years removed from monarchs all over Europe. Only 102 years. So I think by nature, Europe tends to be more left-leaning because they have a culture of government oversight, whereas the United States has a culture of rebelling against monarchs. That's my personal opinion. What the European will tolerate as far as their liberties, and the average European really not making that much of a cry. I mean, every European kid is expected to protest at something when they're in college, but it's like, yeah, and go back to work, afterwards. In that scenario, they're very, very different from us. They're willing to put up with much, much more. I remember, I remember, like, I don't mean it's call sounds German now. This is just the way he thinks. I remember complaining that not one European leader at the time that I said this, I'm talking about the president of Netherlands, at the time, who the fuck was in charge before Boris? I forget. Yeah, all right. Like, listen, Merkel, because I know Merkel, not one of them had a fucking family. And I remember, and to me, as an American, I thought that was a very bad thing because that means they have no skin in the game. Sounds German looked at it like, well, they sacrifice their families so they can take care of the country 24/7. If only a child would interfere with that. That's a very different way of looking at things.
Yeah, absolutely.
In other words, he almost admired the fact that they didn't. It's because they didn't have enough time. You know, and that goes back to, like, you know, an American, like, you're supposed to serve your country. Get the fuck out of there. This is not a job. They don't look at, and we do less and less all the time, but they don't look at serving in Congress as a service. They look at it as a job, and it's not. It's supposed to be service, like military service. That's what it's supposed to be. Whereas the European looks at it as sort of an achievement, and like more of an achievement than it's an achievement in the States, but more of you have gone up on the class scale. So you have a very different way of looking at things. Now, all these things you could find in the States, but it's just that much more powerful. And I believe that comes down that they're only 102 years away from monarchs. The last gasp of the European monarchs and the Turkish monarchs was World War I, and they lost. So it's why England was way ahead of the game, and they dumped their king with the Magna Carta, or whatever the fuck it calls. Everybody else had kings and queens. And then, once the religious institutions were toppled, once there was no monarchs, you got the toothpaste out of the tube, that gave room and birth to a budding ideology from a German Jew named Marx. So a new type of authoritarianism sort of replaced the old type of authoritarianism. The only thing is, their authoritarianism, left-wing authoritarianism that swept Europe, is actually a lot worse than living under a monarch.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, I'm not saying living under a monarch's good. You know, I'm definitely anti-king and anti-queen, but yeah.
You know,
so they just look at things so differently.
It's better for you.
Yeah, I think they're used to being told what the fuck to do. Where the American spirit is, this is the American spirit. Fuck you. Make me. Don't tread on me. Where do you get off talking to me that way? You know, we don't we don't look at like, oh my God, they've achieved. They're in the Bundestag. Wow, they got elected. It's like, that guy's a fucking rotten politician. It's so different. I think if I cursed a politician, I might get cuffs slapped on me over here. That would never happen in the States. They would move me aside and say, shut up, pal. Take me away or something.
Yeah, everyone on Twitter's been calling Trump a fascist person who should be killed for 4 years on Twitter.
Yeah. Well, because you know all those Trump. Did you see
guys.
all those Trump supporters burn down that Minnesota and Los Angeles and?
Oh yeah, man.
Yeah, they were out of control. You know? I don't disagree with them. It's funny how
I'm backwards Pennsylvania. I voted for Trump today.
You voted for Trump. I could see that. Did you do it when you came back from the crick?
Yeah, went down on the creek there.
In the creek. Yeah, we went to the creek. We should have and voted for Trump.
Pushed the car into the lake.
You fucking hillbilly. All right, get out.
You got that right, buddy.
Yeah,
hey,
all right.
Thanks.
All right, all the best to you guys out there. Have a good one. And all the best to you and everybody in America. And thanks for listening to me and my rants and how I feel. I will repeat this, despite my personal political views, which you can find. And it's pretty much the message that I put on the news channel. If you are in your heart of hearts want what's best for our country and our people, go out and vote right now. There's plenty of time. And vote your conscience. Don't vote for a party. Don't vote for even an ideology. Vote for what you think is best for everybody. And then that's, at the end of the day, what we're all supposed to do. If it's so radically different than mine and you have really good reasons, then do just that. Vote your conscience. Don't even vote whether they're good people. Who's going to do the best for the rest of us? All of us. Every single fucking one of us. From age 0 to 103. That's the most important thing you can do. And that's the testament. And then, we have all these horrible, this could be like a Y2K thing. We're all worried about the worst and maybe nothing happens. So That's basically coming from me. And but if stuff starts to get wacky and people start doing crazy shit, you could bet there'll be a shot from the floor.
This is the almighty infinite, independent excellence. Devil fighting, rebel titan, weed smoking alchemist. Fake identities, okay, you cool with Jason Bourne. Running with these Wolverines, okay, you about to catch a storm. I ain't never been a liar, got tired of niggas playing me. Head in my legs like she about to catch
I'm so glad I don't gotta do a show tomorrow.
Town to King's home, slapping fives, black stones, 6 mile to danger zones. Bullets look like waffle cones. Folk affiliated the evolution of Machiavelli. Don't make me lead them eagles to you like I'm Chip Kelly. They feel my struggle, I express it through my hip hop. I'm about to make it hard to breathe. Here's a head.
Goodbye.
Little pimp.